So much for being here and welcome to Cosmic Conversations. I'm your host, Sheila Seppi, and I have my co host, Mr. Ken Lloyd. Now, if you guys will remember, last time I was just lamenting the fact that it was our last show together. I was looking at the July calendar. There's only 4 Mondays. We had five this, or we in August, so we had five this month. So woohoo! So
Mhm.
Ken is back with us tonight. So welcome back, Ken. Thank you for being here. And if you guys are just joining us on Cosmic Conversations, I do have to ask you, please, if you're on YouTube, first off, please like and subscribe. And then, if you are not and you have not yet downloaded our phone apps, please visit your phone store and download our free phone app. And you can download the apps for Roku, Amazon, Apple TV, Android TV. Just type in Conscious Awakening Network. It'll come up. Download the app, and you can watch us from your living room chair, kicked back, drinking your tea, enjoying everything that's happening. So, thank you so much for being here, whether you're live or watching us on replay. I'm super excited. And Ken, welcome back.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I just love this show, right? And I love the guests you have on here. Definitely interested in hearing Corey. I had a chance to look at his bio earlier, which I'm sure you'll introduce here. So I'm excited about this show. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, I am too. And I think what I'm going to do is, as I introduce Corey, I'm just going to go ahead and bring you up on screen. Also, everybody, this is Korey Nau. He is an intuitive life coach with over 20 years of clinical experience working with people from all different professions and backgrounds. Corey found himself immersed in a healing arts and guiding people in their spiritual awakening from a very young age. And with this natural intuitive quality and a passion for the study of metaphysics and healing arts, Corey has helped many starseeds to make sense of the sometimes confusing and overwhelming nature of waking up to all that we are. Tonight, I'm super excited because we are going to explore the functional systems that govern the process of raising our vibration and practices that condition them for this purpose. So it's a blending of like Eastern and Western and shamanic and New Age concepts with all the current scientific discoveries that we're exploring, the key concepts that you can apply to engage and accelerate your development. So throughout his presentation tonight, many of the whys behind the human behavior that will be coming to light as an expression of where we are in this process. And it's not until you know where you are and where you came from that we can truly pilot or plot a course, and actually pilot also our course to our intended future. So, Corey, welcome. Thanks for being here. I'm really excited to hear what you have to share with us.
Thank you. You guys' energy is absolutely amazing. I'm flattered and stimulated. So I can't wait to share some of the things that I've organically come to throughout the progression of my time here on Earth.
Awesome. Well, do you want to go ahead and just start out just by sharing a few things? And then, of course, we have to ask questions. So we'll pop in periodically.
Yeah, no problem. I guess at a young age, I had noticed a level of intimacy or merging or a level of being able to enmesh and have a deeper sense of other people through either reading auras or connecting with their energy field. Um, there's been times where I've had to learn to throttle or to manage how my energy connects with people because it can sometimes seem as a violation of one's space. So throughout my adolescence, the degree in which I was able to connect with people was part of my we'll call it unofficial training in managing my own energy body. And so I found myself having to navigate my gifts from a young age in order to, acclimate, socialize, fit in, and learn how that tendency or that ability needs to be taken into consideration with interacting with people around me. So that was kind of how I started getting naturally attuned to energy management and to understanding the necessity of energy management, and that our energy is also something that I like to call it like energetic hygiene, like how we show up to a social circle adds what energy that is, and the way that our aura interacts with our social group is something that I've had to learn how to manage and understand its impact from a young age. And I didn't even understand that this wasn't something that other people were processing or having to learn to manage, and that when exploring this language with others, there wasn't really a level of understanding in regards to what I was talking about, but yet the emotional triggers in others would be very real. And some people wouldn't even understand why they're being triggered. It would just be an experience that they're having. And so even as a peer-to-peer, when you're asking like, why do you feel this way, a lot of people really can't um give an explanation on why they're feeling that way. And so I had to resolve I had to come to my own understandings of what impact I was having, why they were having it. And I like to call it like my invisible tail. It's like dogs run around the room and like the tail like breaks glasses and it's just wagging all over the place, and it's just like we all have these invisible tails, which is, we don't know why. Maybe someone's having a response, but part of our energy body just turned and whapped somebody in the face or violated their sanctified private space without a proper invitation or energetic management. And these invisible tails are things that I think end up creating interactions between other people without their understanding and or without their acknowledgement that it's even happening. And so to truly become self-responsible and to manage your aura, to manage your energy body, a lot of the human behavior tendencies start to come to light on why some people don't like other people. A really good example is they say on the streets, if you ever met yourself, you wouldn't like you, because it's like too much of the same thing in the same space. And so we all fight to occupy space in a room, energetically, mentally, emotionally. And so if we're all fighting to occupy the same emotional, mental, spiritual, physical space, we're always stepping on each other's toes, or not allowing each other the room to breathe on an energetic basis. And so, all of these details are things that just kind of like came to a necessity in order to get along at a really young age. And then over time, sharing that with people, it wasn't something that was really received very well. So I learned to kind of shut up, about it. And I'm just so happy and excited that there's people like you doing radio shows like this and witnessing some of the people that you've had on here. It's just obvious to me that a lot of the conversations that might not have been received well in the late 80s, early 90s are being received in and enjoyed, and is part of the soul food that our current generation or our current timeline is chomping on and digesting and chewing. And I always kind of had this saying that like Disney and Hollywood, they create such anchors in what we look up to or behaviors that we like to replicate. And I was like, well, if all this spiritual stuff could become cool or hip, studying sacred geometry in the early 90s, people were like, you're a math dork. And like, why are you talking about geometry? I'm like, you don't get it. And it's just like, now people are wearing it. They got it tattooed all over their bodies. And it's just like this symbology, these symbols, like even being around this stuff is creating a genetic evolution and activation in people. And I'm just so happy that these communities and that our, current populace is, truly evolving as the earth is called out and has needed everyone to assist in this transition that we're in at the moment. So how's that for a
Awesome.
little introduction?
That sounds amazing, absolutely amazing. And I loved how you used the analogy of the tail and how we come in contact with each other because really, that's kind of what we do. We're always, in each other's fields all of the time. And so when you feel that immediate drawing to someone or the repelling of, that makes a lot of sense that, our energies are beginning to become entangled.
And we've heard from old yogis in ancient times in regards to having a guru or a master and attunements like Reiki attunements. And in truth, we're all attuning each other as we bump along this journey of life. And it's when you start to take responsibility for the way, what you bring forward, how you bring it forward, that you can truly be the medicine to the world. And you start to give or offer these attunements. And I like to look at human design or astrology, and they do these like combined chart things. And it's like, the stars and where they are at the moment of our birth, or in human design, conception and birth, ends up giving us different, we'll call it star activations that relate to our consciousness. And I like to call it the soil we start from. And so sometimes astrology, people think of it as like, well, I'm a Sagittarius or I'm a Gemini. And so these qualities I'm stuck with for life. I don't really look at it that way. I look at it like it's the soil that we grow from. It's our starting point. And in life coaching, I look for where people are strong in their personality as a way to first build self-confidence in having people engage and express themselves where they naturally have talent. And then from there, we can start to develop more of the things that we're challenged by. And so it's kind of like financially, you should at least make money with what you can do well before you make your business what you don't do well. And so this kind of concept of how we activate each other and our emotional hygiene and the responsibility that we take in regards to how we show up for others makes us all a diksha or a download or an activation, for each other. And what I found was that through my meditations, I've achieved being able to reach certain places in consciousness. And then it's through it's like you can't share what you don't know. And so by exploring consciousness and meditating and reaching certain states of consciousness or vibrational states, once you know that state, you can share it. And so, as you'd mentioned, I've got like 20 years of practice working with people. And it's like the more I explore meditation and the more vibrational places that I've come to master, it's more things that I can share through not only socially in a room, but in a shared session. Those frequencies then become something that I can shift into and then imprint or resonate and end up creating a harmony with the other individual. And that's partly where being grounded and having your frequencies so part of your cellular vibration that if they choose to allow that to be an attunement, then that attunement comes through. And these things are just the magic that happen through interacting with people that care, that love. I mean, we've all heard of love being the most healing force in the universe, and possibly the reason why we're all here. And when you love something right, it's just a mystical healing power, and it's almost like an auric or psychic transmission that all of a sudden makes you feel enough, or makes you feel at home, or makes you feel like you can you're safe enough to take your first next steps of development. And so that's a little bit about all that.
Awesome. Now, when we begin to raise our own personal vibrations, what exactly is happening within our body and bodies?
So there's a little process here. Now, there's a lot of different ways to frame what's happening, and truly, we are a holographic and multidimensional being, and so these things are happening in multiple dimensions, in multiple places in our body, in our consciousness. We have like an atmic body, a bodic body, your emotional body, your mental body, your physical body. I'm very kinesthetic, and so I feel in my body all the time when things or energy is moving or shifting or evolving. So it's I had to learn how to separate what my body feels, because my body feels even when it's not happening in my body. So it's part of like the way I track energy. But so like what's happening with that needs to start somewhere. And so I guess I'll start one kind of with, well, what's happening when you're raising your vibration? Well, you're gaining joy, you're gaining love, you're gaining the emotional capacity to be present, you're experiencing life as you would like to, more so. And so, to answer your question, directly, these are some of the ways that we experience that. Your higher faculties, your intuition starts to turn on. Through love, I feel, is where we get permission to know one another. And so, while I had to learn how to manage my energy body, not to infringe on space, the more that someone knows I love them, the more that I'm not infringing. And so, when you start raising your vibration, you're more capable of loving, more intimate moments happen in time. And through all that, you're experiencing more joy. But there's something, else that I've started to notice in regards to it. There's a teacher of mine named Mitchell Gibson, Dr. Mitchell Gibson. He won the best MD award in the United States like 3 or 4 years in a row, and he's done just a lot of different studies on sleep and science and spirituality. And I was blessed enough at like 18 years old to go and study with him for a weekend personally. And I got this amazing Diksha, which just absolutely blew my mind from him. And he taught me how to work with the sun and feed my pineal gland. But as you raise your vibration, he took blood work from people of different cultures and the masters of different cultures, and he was looking at hormones in your blood work and noticed. So I didn't learn a lot about his study from him, but in regards to what inspired it. But what you find is that at different stages of spiritual development, or as we raise our vibration, we actually shift the hormonal content of our blood work. And so people, I like to call hormones as our lens of perceiving reality. Good luck trying to have someone see the silver lining when they have no happy hormones in their blood. And so a lot of psychologists work with talking about problems that people aren't hormonally capable of seeing the solution, because either they're energetically depleted or they have so much toxic hormone content that it doesn't allow the mind to perceive letting go or transforming the feeling. It's more of that victim consciousness, which holds on to the past versus lets you evolve into the future. But he was doing this work on hormones, and he noticed that there was a progression within these different systems, that masters at different stages shared a certain evolutionary quality in the hormone content in their blood. And so it gave me the idea, as a life coach, that sometimes instead of addressing the problem on the level of the problem, I address it beyond the problem. And what I found was that when you get people to balance their hormones, that a lot of the problems that were perceived problems aren't problems anymore. And so the lens in which they're experiencing their reality, the conversation is no longer needed, necessary, or part of their functional space. And so what a great way to go through therapy, where you more notice where we're at in our hormonal balances as a understanding of our capacity to take self-responsibility, to alchemically evolve our emotional state, and to move into ownership and self-empowerment versus victimhood. And I've just been noticing that there is a great deal of application in that, even when you're not looking at how enlightened you are, but when you're even looking at people that are working through their daily problems, and people spend thousands of dollars talking to therapists about the same problem in the same way. And really, if they just exercised more and ate the foods that nourished their ability to balance and promote the right hormone development, that a lot of these needs that we have to even talk about these things no longer become a need. And so
Is this an
there's
insight that you share with the people that you work with as a life coach?
so yeah, absolutely. And it's kind of like the way that I approach it. And even if we'll just say they don't have to understand what's happening, because some of these things are just about exercise, being in the sunlight, not consuming alcohol or other things that irritate our emotional stability, and that detoxing when we're toxic. They don't, things don't work right, whether it's heavy metals or etc. And so a lot of people that I've worked with will just say more now than ever are able to care about the why. Others just want the result. And so that's where, when people are open to taking more self-responsibility and exploring the why, then I'm always there to share. But a lot of times I work with massage therapy and energy medicine and sound healing and just a lot of other things. And one of the things that I noticed was, one, as a 16-year-old, 17-year-old, sharing energy medicine was difficult, especially since it was the late 90s, early 2000s, and I was young. I ended up getting my massage license because it ended up becoming a way to gain rapport with my clients. And then from that place, I was able to suggest and explore more of what that is. But I was actually, for the last 10 years, out in California developing a retreat center in order to share all of this, and was working with the studies and how to, as Drunvalo Melchizedek once said very wisely, that our whole world right now is very left-brained. And so, and I've worked in Northbrook and with people from a lot of very professional, high-end backgrounds. People want to see the science. They want to see, why am I investing this energy in meditation, in exercise? Why is this important to me? And so, that's where I've been taking science and spirituality and approaching things through the left brain in order to convince people to give the things that give the best results take the longest amount of time in order for the results to come. It's like life is this fruit that when you let it age, it gets better with time. But a lot of times people want results in short attention span theater time cycles, and the ripeness of your fruit and the enjoyment of that fruit only becomes so much. But when we start investing in waiting, you got to be convinced on why you're waiting. And so that's where I've been just getting back into having my own professional practice again. And my time in California, we'll just say the politics of California was a struggle, and my property burnt down 3 times. And so, and part of what I'm teaching is about how to be healthy. And it's really hard to teach people about how to be healthy, to solar gaze, to work with exercise, breathing, meditation, feeling safe, when you have walls of flames coming at you, and the sun that you're supposed to be gazing at is blocked out by everything burning. And so I was just like, I just it looked good, and then you have the experience of developing it, and you're like, I think I need to go somewhere more green. So that was a little bit about my
Awesome.
experience. And so, yeah, I'm just getting back into sharing with others. And I should have my own practice up and running in Northbrook here in the next like 3 or 4 weeks. So I'm really excited to be back active, working with people and sharing all that I have to share.
Cool. Let me ask a question real quick. Now, you mentioned Drune Velo. Did you study with him?
I did. I did a Living in the Heart seminar with him out in Canada. And it was like a week-long retreat, and it was on this beautiful lake. And I got to spend a couple nights with him where I got a personal like 10-minute session and like reading from him. And I got to meet a really good friend of his, Ron Laplace, who teaches the Flower of Life in the Merkaba. And he's actually not part of the Flower of Life organization, because Drumvalo and the Flower of Life organization had a falling out. And then there's not many people that are approved to teach the Merkaba outside of the Flower of Life organization. So Ron became a good friend of mine, and he got me involved in what's called acutonics, which is a sound healing system. And so, going into what happens when you raise your vibration, the sound healing system was something that Ron shared with me. And it's a way to connect into the chakras, the meridians through the traditional Chinese medicine acupuncture system, and understanding that you can apply different vibrations and frequencies right to the nervous system and to organ channels. And these help regulate organs, glands, and ultimately the consciousness that runs, throughout that. But, looking for ways to attune our nervous system has always been a great passion of mine. But yeah, my time with Drumvalo, learning the Living in the Heart, was a really nice, powerful time. And when I was 16, I first got my license. One of the first things I did is I went and studied with Maureen St. Germain and learned the Flower of Life and the Merkaba. And I noticed that she was one of your guests, looking at your history. So it's such an honor to be on the same platform, later on in life, with her. But yeah, she taught me the Merkaba at 16, and I was working with the Merkaba and creating a relationship with the Merkaba. And I started to understand it in a way where it's kind of like a living being of its own that has a certain amount of personality, intelligence, and there's a way to program it, but it also has a tendency to program you or evolve you. And so working with the Merkaba, all of a sudden, we'll just say that a lot of the higher faculties started to turn on. And that was a time in which I was already doing massage and energy medicine with chronic healing and Reiki. And once again, Reiki eventually evolved into, wait, my Reiki isn't just Reiki, it's being attuned with these different frequencies. And it was something that would change and evolve depending upon what it was that I was trying to address. And so when I was younger, and that ability to merge or to have intimacy and read and feel that in my body, it's like, it's strange. So as a massage therapist, I know exactly what level of pain or comfort you're in when I'm applying a technique, because I feel it in my body. And so, but I feel it as you do, not as I do. And so through learning who I am, I can separate who I am from what I'm feeling, and allow myself to be a reflection of the other. And it allows me to address things more specifically in others, because my body has the ability to reflect their experience of it. And then in massage, when you get things to the edge of pain and pleasure, you start to actually activate the hormones. Massage leaves you with a lot of more happy hormones. And the way that you get that to happen is by activating the nervous system to a high degree, but if you go over that level, you trigger people and they contract. But as long as you stay within their comfort zone, it will amplify the hormonal release and the feeling of healthy pain versus unhealthy pain. And then through being able to get to that edge, you maximize the happy hormones and the organ activation, but you're also gaining trust in the other because they start to realize that you take them to that same edge and they can trust that you won't hurt them, overwhelm them, or put them into a triggered response. And I started to notice the degree of rapport and trust that this would develop between my clients and I. And so the Merkaba and the flower of life, Egypt was one of the first cultures that really started talking to me, and I was remembering my past lives in Egypt, and I had such a passion for that, and I found sacred geometry on my own through the hieroglyphics, and that's what introduced me to Drumvalo's work. And so from a very young age, before I could drive, I was already reading his books and just absolutely falling in love with the ancient ceremonies, the way that they use the pyramids and, understood sacred geometry and death science and the process, the death process. And I was really inspired by all that. And so that's how I found Drumvalo. It was actually through a VHS before DVDs even existed. And I was going through Gurney Mills and I found a Bob Frizzell Nothing to Something VHS. And I sat there and watched that VHS on repeat for like months. And then, while studying the flower of life and just being like, until I can make it, until I can get there.
Awesome. Now, for people who are watching and listening, could you explain what the Merkaba is and how we can utilize that?
It's a multi-dimensional aspect of our nature, our body. Just as we have ethnic body, bodic body, emotional body, mental body, spiritual body, all these different bodies, part of us has nested platonic solids. And so a lot of people talk about the Merkaba and it's nested star tetrahedrons. And I know that Maureen did a really good job explaining part of this, but it's part of it's one of our bodies that we have, and it has a way, and this is kind of like one of my own spins on sacred geometry, is you've got the flower of life, and then from that you get Metatron's cube, and then from that all the platonic solids comes out of that, which ends up building out the elements, and the elements are what makes up our third dimensional universe. So I started looking at platonic solids and seeing that there is evidence of us having all of those platonic solids around our body, and each platonic solid clicks into Metatron's cube and plugs into the flower of life differently. And so by working with these different platonic solids that surround our body, we're working with different ways of plugging into the matrix or to the flower of life, which is in a certain way our holographic interdimensional matrix, space-time, multidimensional continuum that we exist in. And so the Merkaba is a star tetrahedron geometry that allows us to interface with the flower of life and with the known universe in a way that allows us to be much more multidimensional and in some ways even bilocational. And so it eventually allows us to have it's a container that can hold our energy and explore the universe around us. But in energy medicine and in session, it also is something that can vibrate, spin, move, and activate programs that assist you in channeling different energies from different dimensional vibrations, to tap into your relationship with the angels, with the sun centers, the dolphins, the whales, whatever your modus operandi is. But these the Merkaba is a living part of our sacred geometric form, as every planet and animal and star has the same nesting of this. And so that goes into part of how every cell does and every plant does. And so this is how realities stack and part of the holographic nature of things. But I've understood the Merkaba to be a part of who I am and not different. But then when the Merkaba is activated, when I'm tired or if I'm got like a lung infection or bronchitis, you can feel the Merkaba. It needs prana, it needs chi in order for it to operate at its full potential. And so you start to develop a relationship with part of your interdimensional nature and the anatomy, I guess, that you have of yourself that interfaces with this interdimensional nature, and you learn how to nurture it as you would learn to nurture your digestion or your sleep or your child. And so that's where developing this relationship with it ends up becoming something of self-responsibility that I look at like personal hygiene. And then that Merkaba also helps you with your downloads while you meet others and the transmissions. And so it's like how much of me is interacting with how much of you. And so when you have a relationship with these parts of yourself, you get to notice what parts of yourself are interacting with who and how. And so I guess that's a little bit about how I experience the Merkaba. And one of the things I also come to understand is that the Merkaba, it's got an electrical and a magnetic component, and it comes from mimicking the electromagnetic energy resonance of the earth. And so that's why we use these 3421 in regards to part of the way the electrical and magnetic things spin counter-rotationally, but understanding that it relates to sharing in resonance with the Earth's electromagnetic field. That is just a kind of a cool concept to me, because I believe ascension partly relates to having a good relationship with our Mother Earth is what gives us the hall pass to the stars. Not only that, but it's what gives us instinct. So part of the Schumann resonance, which is the earth ohm, is part of how the earth resonates, and it ends up becoming what connects you with your instinct. So it's like, how do animals know to run when there's a forest fire before they can smell it or anything? How do a bird know how to fly when its mother kicks itself out of the nest? How do we know the like mothers in giving birth, the body on what to do next? It's the neurological attunement with Mother Earth that is what keeps us connected with the instinct to evolve organically, naturally. And so understanding how the Merkaba and its relationship with the earth and with the Schumann resonance ends up going into our neurological states. And our neurological state is important in order to have a connection with our intuition and with Mother Earth and our impulse to feel the messages that Mother Earth is giving us. And then yes, she's the hall pass. Usually we don't get to explore the stars until you've grounded and rooted in the earth enough and been given the permission of Mother Earth in order to go beyond.
Awesome. Thank you. That was an excellent explanation. I appreciate it. Hey, Solar Rays, you have your hand up. Do you have a question?
Yes, thank you. May I ask my question now?
Oh, of course.
Okay. Well, thank you. This was really, really wonderful. I'm totally relating with what you're saying. How you're visualizing your reality in terms of sacred geometry, for example. It's an interesting way you described how the geometry actually affects our physical body and how we can place ourselves within the intersection of the flower of life. That's pretty interesting way of explaining it. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Very welcome.
I have a question though, and the question is pertaining to when you first started out noticing that your energy body is affecting others. What were you feeling? Like, was it something you were sensing inside of you that your energy body was out there, further out, were you feeling it, or were you basing those uh, thoughts on what people reacted to or what
I,
people
ba-
say to you?
I learned that it was happening because of the shadow that it casted in my relationships. And so I felt or didn't know that I was, yes, you said it exactly. I was leaving my body and enmeshing in their energy body. And so it was just natural. So this is my like first human life, and so I'm kind of like awkward in a lot of ways, but I I that to me was normal, was to merge and to reach out and to blend. And so I had to learn how to not leave my body, not go to somebody, but maintain my space. And so yeah, I didn't get that for years, and it took it, I call it like I get to experience the outline of what was going on through the reflection of others, which is why relationships are really important, because it's through relating that we learn about ourselves. And yeah, no, I wasn't aware that I was doing it. And I did notice, I guess, partly that I'd be disappointed in the degree of intimacy that other people were either capable of or comfortable with. And I didn't understand why more people here didn't have that tendency to want to merge and to, be one. And that's just what I knew as normal and natural. And it was a very uncomfortable process of coming to understand that it's not them, it's me. And just because something happens naturally doesn't mean that I can't control it, and that I didn't even realize there was a choice to update that, or how to manage it, or how do you even get your hand on that part of you that's naturally leaving yourself when you don't even know that that's what's going on. So yeah, it was yeah, I didn't understand what was happening for years with that.
Awesome.
Pretty cool.
Well,
Thank you.
You're welcome.
thank you for the question. I want to ask a follow up question to that. You said this is your first human life. So, where were you prior to this incarnation?
Um, it's interesting because I'm a solar being, and so I don't really have a strong affiliation with where I've come from so much. And so I relate more with the stars, not like the planets and the cultures of the planets. I more feel like I came from a place of the center of a sun, and I was just alchemy and energy and constantly dispersed throughout the whole. And so the body thing, I don't really feel like I really was having or managing bodies for either a long time or something of that nature. So I don't really have an affiliation with like the Arcturians or the Lumerians, or any of the other, like I've got, for some reason in my dreams, I've got a strong connection with mantises. And I know that that's part of the ET collective. But yeah, I don't really have a strong feeling of like where I was at per se. It's more of a understanding that is universal. And I find that I interface very well with all the different races and beings out there, but it's almost like I'm unaffiliated, if you will, like not really addressing to any one of them. And so I've got a strong desire in all of, like, the first teacher that showed up to me like beyond vision was God, what's his name, is the Indian yogi guy. Oh, he's eluding my mind, but he doesn't, even though he is considered an Indian teacher, he doesn't ever call himself from the Bhagavad Gita. He doesn't ever, it's like Buddhism, where Buddha isn't of a system. And a lot of teachers choose to not anytime you create a system, you're subject and limited to the system.
Mm-hmm.
And so I find myself constantly not willing to adhere to or belong to any one system because it's a limiting factor, if you will. But for some reason, I've got more of a memory that's more universal oriented and good relationships in a lot of the different directions, but not a strong single affiliation.
Okay.
Are you
thank
thinking
you.
of Sadhguru or Deepak Chopra?
No, older. I have him right here. One second. No, I don't. God, there was
Yogananda?
no. It comes from the lineage of where the guy did like the sacred ash. He would like rub his fingers together and make sacred ash. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's really eluding me.
Babaji.
Babaji,
Solar
there
set.
you go,
Thank you,
Babaji.
SolarRays.
Yes, thank you. No, Babaji, yeah, he was showing up to me and really guiding me in my early teens. And it was funny, the first vacation I went on, I went to the Bahamas and I got pickpocketed and I memorized all my credit card numbers so I could order room service and like use all, continue to use my credit card through my memory. But the last day, my wallet washed up from the ocean and the only thing left in it was Babaji's picture.
Nice.
Yep, no, he came
Oh,
back to me.
great. Susie, you have a question?
Yeah, this is so fascinating. You're the third person that I've met or at least become acquainted with that hasn't been a human. I mean, it's the first time they've been human. And the guy I came out to be in Hawaii at this big conscious community also is like that. And I'm going to connect you with him because it sounds like you're talking the same language. It's so cool. And I think you could help him. I think it would be a good match. But anyway, I studied sacred geometry for 12 years with the template and then with Nassim Harriman for a long time. But when I got with Melchizedek, Drenvelo, it was like, and I did his workbook, the first one. It was the hardest thing I ever did, but I understood how everything is created through geometry. It's the first thing from the void. I just love what you're saying. I don't think I have a question. I'm just so thrilled with your bringing. Thank you so much. And I will connect with you with Sperry because you sound the same and he's having a hard, he thought it would be so much easier. He said, I don't understand why people aren't happier. And, so you sound just like him. So I will connect you. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome, and please do. I'm excited to connect with more people of this nature. And you can tell when people were born from a similar planet or have, a similar phenomenon happening. And it's like having friends, company, and camaraderie in this journey of life. We're all on a journey to the grave and beyond. And so we might as well be good company along the way.
Yeah, and he felt like he was in this dimension. He came from a dimension and knew what it was like. And only recently he's had different ET people come to him and confirm where it was and stuff, but it's not a planet. It's just like what you're saying. It's more of a dimension of space. So anyway, thank you. Fascinating.
Very welcome.
Thank you, Susie. Hey, Ken, you have any questions?
No, I'm just flabbergasted with the amount of knowledge. I'm just buried in this, right? So no real questions. Just I'm in total listen mode, absorption mode.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, I just wanted to give you a chance because I've been asking all the questions.
I know you're so good at it, though.
All right. Okay, so let's see. Does anybody else have any questions? I'm going to kind of flip through here because I know sometimes people are raising their hands.
I could say something if I'm allowed. This is Solace
Okay.
while you're looking, but I'm really happy with what you're doing. I really encourage you to do more and not so much like don't hide who you are. Don't bend to Earth's, challenging ways, because I think you can be an example to many that are really trying to shine their own light. So although some of us have been on this planet and been around for thousands of lifetimes. It's wonderful to meet new souls coming to our planet. So it's really beautiful that you're trying to bridge your connection, but it's also important you still show who you are and not try to actually bridge it so much. If you can, express yourself fully, because that's another resonance that you're sending out to the newcomers that could catch on to that wave with you. So thank you.
Said something very strongly there that resonates with me, which is to feel fully. And that's one of the core principles of my teachings and my process. And, not a lot of people understand that when they sit with their discomfort, that they're actually processing their energy and their aura and their emotional energy and evolving it. And feeling fully has been really important. And it's been a process coming back to the world and sharing on a professional level. And as a teenager, the world wasn't so open to all of this. And so it didn't really feel as like people didn't want to digest it all. And so just finding such a large community so hungry and open for all this information and the understandings that have come through from where I'm from. And, I came here because I heard the earth and I heard the need to evolve and the pain from this planet and its need to, to meet certain states of consciousness and evolution through the cosmological development going on and our evolution to higher dimensions. And it was really important for me to be here. And it's like, in the youth, it was always like, sit in the corner and we'll get to you when we're ready. And then it's just like 5 years pass and no one ever gets to you. And you're like, oh, wait a minute. I got you guys figured out.
Awesome. Now, when you came, did you come with the knowing of a mission, or have you just discovered who you are a little later in life?
It was a little later. It was more about, like I told you in the beginning, having to manage my energy body. And then, I really got involved kind of more in like conspiracy theory and seeing why there's so much pain on the planet, why the food pyramid is as twisted as it is, why pharmaceuticals work the way why it does, why we give our power to heal away to all the doctors and dentists and to just anybody but ourselves. And so, it was just kind of like growing with all of that, and then just always having a passion to share all of that and knowing that it's like the people that I studied conspiracy theory with as friends, it was kind of like a place where some people get angry and upset at how the cards sometimes are stacked against us. But that is where we have an opportunity to choose to become a leader and a teacher and to change the roots, change the world from inside and from the grassroots level. And so that was something that, caused a lot of social disharmony, because it was like, on one level you could say like, everybody like stop destroying the planet and being so mean to each other, because partly they're being mean to you and you're suffering. So it's like our environment partly creates, it's like nature versus nurture, and it's just like your environment creates part of what we're experiencing as life. And on some level, it's like if people don't choose to evolve, then we're going to continue to suffer. And so there's like this adolescent, don't you guys all get what's going on? And if everyone could just evolve with me, then we would, there's a cute little internet meme where it's like, like the Illuminati on a chessboard and it's all played on the back of normal people. And it's like, if we all just stood up, the game would be over. And so I don't know, it's just like, come on, guys, like the earth is suffering and we all want to choose joy. And I listen and hear to how much pain is in so many people's lives, and yet like people choose the pain cycle. And so it was just more of a mission that was instinctual. And then all of a sudden it's just like some people got angry and didn't choose to be teachers. They chose to have more of the victim role. And then I was just really taking on like the wow, like there's so much that people need to learn. And people don't evolve unless they're loved, and love was just my natural language. And so that was where I find myself at a young age being a guide to people becoming psychic or learning how to interact with their clear audience, their clear sentience, and helping people understand the relationship with maybe their family, who might be more the salt of the earth and not share a need to evolve. How do we resolve emotional issues with others within ourselves when someone else doesn't choose to participate? It's just like all this language that's more kind of like on a psychology level. By understanding what was appropriate with my aura as a child, it gave me an instinctual understanding where if the goal is to get our message across, some of my friends would be like, guys, you do surgery with a sledgehammer and a hacksaw. It's like, you got to be more gentle and, approach things with a level of understanding, care, and compassion, not on a level of like anger, aggression, or you did this to me, or don't you see what you're doing, you idiot, or anything of this nature. And so, learning that I was on a mission, it just became my life. And, I came up with this saying that, just because something comes organically and naturally doesn't make it not profound. And so, I've always just kind of known myself and been myself. And you see some people kind of go through this phase and that phase and the other phase. And it's like, I've never really gone through phases, and I've just been rooted in this. And as popular or unpopular as this level of awareness and self mastery and self-responsibility, whether it's popular or unpopular, it's always been my nature. And so I never really knew that I came here on a mission, but it was just been something that fills me. Like, it isn't a choice, like when you have a moment to speak the unpopular opinion or not, it's like coming out of my mouth before I even realize it just happened. And I was like, oh wait, that just happened.
Oops. All
Oops.
right. Well, let me ask you one other question. You've mentioned a couple times that you were 16 when you got your massage license. Were you already out of school and you went into a massage school? Is this something that you studied on your own that really was fascinating to you? Can you tell us just a little bit more about that?
So it's I started studying like energy medicine at like 14 to 16, and then Maraba and all that. So I was starting with energy medicine. I've been a martial artist, a junior Olympic downhill ski racer. I've rode motocross and basically hurt myself in most ways possible. And so I was going to school for chiropractic because I met chiropractors that changed my life, and I was going to school for chiropractic. But eventually I fell in love with a massage therapist around 20 years old, and my house flooded and I lost all my personal belongings, and I moved in with her because it seemed like the natural thing to do. And I didn't really want to be a chiropractor sitting in an office. I'm a Sagittarius and I love to travel, and it's kind of a sterile environment. Now, looking back, there's a lot of ways you can jazz up your chiropractic life by traveling, etc. But you have to get licensed in all the different states, and it's just kind of a headache. But, I was thinking of it like that. But I dropped out of chiropractic and went into massage therapy. And throughout the time in Kung Fu and in racing, etc., I kind of learned how, like, where the line in the sand is between harming and helping. And that gave me a natural intuitive confidence in approaching massage maybe deeper and in areas that would otherwise be contraindicated, and you wouldn't really explore those areas. But through in chiropractic school, I got to dissect. It's the largest cadaver lab in the United States at National University of Health Science. And so I got 3 years of dissection under my belt. And then I went into massage, and it was like I was a way overly educated massage therapist with years of Kung Fu background. And so my hands were really strong, and I had an understanding of where that line in the sand is between helpful and harmful, and then that intuitive ability to track what people were feeling in my own body. And I was already trained in many forms of energy medicine. And I wanted to get practicing with all that I knew with energy medicine. And I recognized that massage therapy would give me a platform that more generic people connect with in order to have rapport develop to share my healing arts. And so at 21, I thought that it was a good way that would help me share more of my healing arts in energy medicine than I was at the time. So and through massage therapy, where I'm 40 now, so I've been a massage therapist for about 20 years, and all that time with being active in a clinical setting has helped me, or just given me a lot of opportunity to use my energy medicine, to explore my energy medicine, and to have people consistently coming up into tracking treatment plans. And that's part of, I'm not sure how long how long is our show, just so I want to make sure that I get certain things in before our time is up.
Well, our time is starting to come to a close. So let's go ahead and share everything that all of the other points that you wanted to share with us.
Okay, well, I'm going to run through it really quick. And so through having my hands on people, I started noticing that there's static, or we'll call it the pain body. And so the nervous system, when it's occupied with static, it really can't be the stillness isn't there, so you can't really track other energetic patterns or know what's going on energetically as well when there's a lot of static in your aura. And so I found ways of connecting and blending with people in which I can, we'll call it, just chase away the static and the noise in the aura. From that, we're talking about the Schumann resonance. The nervous system, when it's resonating at the Schumann resonance, it's connected with instinct, like we were saying, but they've also shown that disease, cancer, etc., Schumann resonance is how everything cooperates and communicates. And so it's like the radio station that all the cells should be listening to be connected with how to cooperate and get along. And so once our nervous system, it has a certain level of stillness, we're connected to the Schumann resonance, which connects us to Mother Earth. We work with brain-heart coherency, and it gets the brain and the heart working with certain breathing patterns, and it helps us move into the parasympathetic nervous system versus the sympathetic, which when we have sympathetic dominance, we have stress hormones, which affects our lens to perceiving the reality that we live in. I've been working with Jerome that works with Ormus, and Egypt was working with Ormus, and that's where I learned about it many years back, studying Drumvalo Melchizedek's work. And Ormus is monoatomic noble metals that can go into every cell of your body, and they act like little batteries that can it can harness electricity, prana, or chi. So your body can actually hold or maintain or contain more prana or chi. And so part of turning on our higher functional capacity is developing what's called pranic pressure and having good conductivity. So the Ormus helps with the conductivity in the body. Some herbs and other practices that I work with that I don't have time to get into works with what's called pranic pressure. And just like a house, a toaster oven will work with a 110 voltage, but a refrigerator won't. It needs 220. And so developing pranic pressure is essential at turning on our higher consciousness faculties, which is one of the things that's involved in the process of ascension. And so working with those main aspects, I'm developing a herb line that helps the body have bioavailable chi. Jerome's working with developing the Ormus and having it as a product that we'll be having, and we'll be talking at Conscious Life Expo, having a booth where we'll be selling these products, but learning how to detox, have the right neuroconductivity, having the right pranic pressure to turn on your higher functioning capacity. And then we can start talking about attunements and different vibrational frequencies and how they start allowing you to explore the world of our psychic capacities in a more playful way.
Well, that's
I have
awesome.
so much more.
Okay, I just real quick, I was going to say that's awesome. So when you get this new line developed, let me know and we'll get you back on here so you can tell us about it.
You got it. I'll be happy to be back online. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Beautiful. So, as we do start to bring everything to a close, and before I bring Ken up, do you have any final comments that you want to share with everyone?
Just that it's fun to be here. I am making, so we're working on creating an online university in which I'll be interfacing much more availably to the public. And so that should be up and running sometime soon. And so in addition to that, I should have my practice up and running in the next couple of weeks. I'm working on creating a contact landing page in regards to any personal sessions that want to be done. And yeah, I just have so much more to share, and I'm so excited and happy to have had a chance to share what I have.
Awesome. Well, we'll definitely get you back so you can share some more of your amazing knowledge with us. So, thank you so much for being here with us. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Now, Ken, we
Yeah.
went through this last month or last week, and I thought it was your last night, but tonight is your last night with
Yep.
us as a co-host. And I really want to let you know how much I appreciate your being here and taking time out of your schedule. And for those people who may just be joining us and didn't hear anything about you or your phenomenal work, you want to kind of give people a really quick rundown about who you are and what you do?
Sure, absolutely. So Ken Lloyd at kenlloydofficial.com. But I'm a soul walk-in. I've got 22 souls in me, and we operate as a single embodied collective, or at least we're trying to. So I've started off at 13, then 9 more showed up back in March, I think it was, right? And so now about 3 weeks ago, we've all actually embodied. So I'm getting familiar with my new family. But this does give me the ability to do some pretty rapid, almost instantaneous healing on folks in mass or individually. And since the 22 have come in, my ability, my claircognizant, my clear knowing is almost instant when I'm communing with people, and it's a little freaky, to be honest with you. It's like wow, and it snaps. So I'm learning to come into whatever's happening with me. But yeah, so I'm excited. I'm part of the Conscious Awakening Network. I have the Accelerated Ascension podcast where I share information when I get it. Unlike this amazing Korey, they don't give me information. They just like show up and do the light language and do your thing. So when I have an opportunity to listen to this wealth of knowledge, I've got these eyes, these googly eyes. I just absorb it as I can. My team personally has turned me off of all knowledge for almost 7 years. So yeah, when I get it, I'm in it. So yeah, thank you, Lori. Thank you very much. And thank you, Sheila, for having me on.
Of course, thank you so much for being here. And I'll have to have you to come back and be a co-host again. That'll be awesome. So everyone, thank you so much for being here again tonight with us. We have had Korey Nau, Ken Lloyd tonight, and if you are just joining us, you can catch the replay on YouTube, and you'll also be able to visit your favorite podcasting site of Spotify, Google, all of the major podcasting locations, and you'll be able to listen to this. So download it, listen to us in the car, check us out, the videos. Please go to YouTube to watch this rerun. And I will mention very quickly that the Conscious Awakening Network is in the process of making some major updates to our website. At first, we thought everything was going to have to be taken down, but now it looks like they're going to be able to work in the back end because we changed some certain functionalities, and I don't have a clue what they're talking about. I'm just like, yay. So the website may not go down, but you can still catch the majority of all of the shows that we have on the Conscious Awakening Network on our YouTube channel. Just check out the playlist, and you can watch things there also. So again, like, subscribe, keep us in business there. Let us know what your thoughts are, any questions, comments. even those snide remarks are taken. So we'll be happy to reach out and chat with you. So again, thank you all so much for being here. Korey, Ken, Susie, thank you for playing before the show. Thanks, everyone. And until we are back together again next time, namaste and have a beautiful week. So much love, everyone. Good night.